At that Thanksgiving dinner, everything burned, just not the turkey. Jane's voice sliced through the noise like a dagger. Give back the gold you took from Dad's safety deposit box. We know it was you. Her fingers shook in my face. Her voice cracked. Her mother gasped. Her father stared like I'd just kicked his dog. And my wife? Amanda sipped her wine. Calm. Cold. Silent. Not once did she defend me. But I didn't say a word. Not right away. Instead, I slowly pulled out my phone. Unlocked it. Clicked the file. Turned it around. The entire room fell into that dead, tense hush. The kind that screams louder than shouting. They all stared at the screen. The bank's security footage played in perfect clarity. It wasn't me in the video. It was Amanda, clear as daylight, her long auburn hair tied back, her hand reaching into the safety deposit box, her smirk as she tucked away the small bar of gold into her Louis Vuitton purse. Date stamped. Time stamped. No room for interpretation. Her sister gasped. Her mom blinked in disbelief. Amanda chuckled. Oh, please, she said, twirling her wine glass. So what? It's family gold. I had a right. My pulse roared in my ears. I'd just defended this woman for months. For years. Every time someone whispered that she was cold, manipulative, high maintenance, I brushed it off. Every time I noticed her texting late at night, and she told me it was just work, I believed her. Every time she came home hours late, I convinced myself she was just busy. But this moment cracked open the entire illusion like a rotten egg. Jane turned to me. You knew about this? I looked her dead in the eye. No. But now I know everything. Amanda laughed again. Stop being dramatic, Jason. It's not like I killed someone. Honestly, if this is how you're gonna act, maybe you should leave. That's when I knew. The gold wasn't the betrayal. It was the smoke. The real fire was somewhere deeper. Something else was wrong. Twisted. And just like that, I started watching. Not saying much. Just watching her. Noticing every fake smile. Every carefully crafted lie. Every sideways glance when her phone buzzed at 11 p.m. and she'd flip its screen down. Amanda thought she was smart. She thought she was untouchable. But Thanksgiving was the night I stopped being her husband and started being her shadow. And by the time I found the name Logan C. saved in her phone as Sharon, by the time I heard the voicemail she accidentally played on Bluetooth in our car, see you tonight, babe. Same room. I wasn't surprised. I was already 2 steps ahead. This wasn't going to be a confrontation. This was going to be an execution. Of trust. Of marriage. Of the story she built around us. But I had to wait for the perfect moment. She thought Thanksgiving was a disaster. She had no idea what Christmas would bring. 3 nights after Thanksgiving, she came home at 1:42 a.m. I was sitting in the living room. No lights on. Just the glow of her headlights brushing against the curtains. She didn't expect me awake. The door opened. Her heels clicked across the floor like gunshots. She tossed her purse on the counter and mumbled, "Didn't think you'd be up." I didn't answer. Just stared at her. She didn't flinch. Didn't even look guilty. Just kicked off her heels and walked toward the hallway like nothing was wrong. "Amanda," I said calmly. She paused. Turned slightly, half annoyed. "What? Who's Logan?" That was the first time in a while her face changed. Just for a second. Barely a flicker. But it was there. Surprise. Then she smirked. "Wow. You're really checking my phone now? That's cute." She turned fully to face me, arms crossed. "You know what's funny? You spend more time snooping than actually being a husband. Maybe if you weren't so dull, I wouldn't need to have fun elsewhere." She said that. Out loud. Like it was nothing. I felt something in my chest burn. Not fire. Ice. Cold, clean, bitter. "You've been with him," I said. Not a question. A fact. She didn't deny it. Just walked toward the kitchen. Opened the fridge. "You want the list? Or are we just sticking to Logan tonight?" I stood up. "How long?" She shrugged. "Months. Years. Depends on what you count as cheating. You're so vanilla, I honestly forgot what it felt like to be wanted. Logan made me feel alive. Not like some house bet waiting for scraps. That was it. That was the moment I felt my soul snap in two. Not because of the betrayal, but because of the contempt. She didn't even try to lie. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She smiled. Like she was proud of it. "You're disgusting," I said, voice low. "Please," she scoffed, leaning against the counter. "You think any woman would stay loyal to a man who gets more excited about spreadsheets than her body? You're a placeholder, Jason. A steady paycheck. You think this house is yours? It's mine. You think the car out front is yours? I put down half the deposit. Without me, you're just mediocre. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I picked up the folder from the table, thick, sealed, ready. I'd been preparing it since the day after Thanksgiving. Here's the prenup you forgot I had updated last year, I said. And here's a copy of the footage from the bank. Already sent to my lawyer. By the way, he also got the voice recordings from the car. You and Logan. Crystal clear. Her face fell. For the first time. I walked past her. Calm. Cold. Done. And Amanda? I said as I reached the stairs. She didn't answer. Logan's wife says hi. Her wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. I didn't look back. I slept in the guest room that night. Not because I had to, but because I couldn't stomach the smell of her perfume on the sheets in our bedroom. Jasmine and rot, that's all it was now. She didn't come upstairs. I heard her moving around downstairs, heard the creak of the liquor cabinet, heard the way she slammed the bathroom door like I owed her an apology. The next morning, the silence at breakfast was thick. She sat at the table scrolling her phone, pretending I didn't exist. I poured myself a coffee, opened my laptop, and started drafting the message to my lawyer confirming everything. Dates, names, attachments. The whole picture. Amanda broke the silence without even looking up. So you're really doing this? I didn't respond. She laughed, short and sharp. Over a little fun on the side? Grow up, Jason. Everyone cheats. I just got caught. That's the only difference. I closed my laptop. No, Amanda. The difference is, you're a parasite. And now I'm cutting you off. She scoffed. Good luck explaining this to my parents. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, I think they'll understand. Especially after that gold stunt. Her face twitched. Just a little. Then she smiled again. They'll side with me. They always do. You're the outsider, remember? She was right. Her parents never liked me. Her dad thought I was too quiet. Her mom thought I lacked ambition. What they really meant was, I didn't bend the knee to Amanda. But this time was different. I pulled out my phone again and slid it across the table. A new clip. Audio. Thanksgiving dinner. Amanda admitting she took the gold. Clear as day. Jane's voice yelling. Amanda's laugh. The whole thing, recorded from my watch. Send that to them, I said, and ask if they still think I'm the outsider. She stared at the phone, lips tight. You're pathetic. No, I'm just done being your fool. That's when she stood, grabbed her purse, stormed to the door. But just before leaving, she turned and threw one more shot. Enjoy sleeping alone, Jason. You'll regret this the second some young thing laughs at your boring ass and walks away. The door slammed. I didn't move, didn't blink, just sipped my coffee, because I wasn't going to be sleeping alone for long. I'd already called Logan's wife, and she had a lot to say. Logan's wife, Claire, met me 2 days later at a quiet cafe on the edge of town. She was colder than I expected, polished, calm, a kind of tired that came from knowing too much. She didn't even flinch when I handed her the printed transcripts of the voicemails. She skimmed them in silence, then finally looked up. So your Amanda was the work conference he flew out to Dallas with. I nodded. And the private client meeting in Denver. And the boys' weekend in Miami. She snorted. God, they're not even creative anymore. We sat for over an hour, comparing notes, dates, bank statements, flight receipts. Between the two of us, we mapped nearly 8 months of deception. Different hotels, different aliases. One time, they even posed as newlyweds for a free room upgrade. I remember staring at the printout of that reservation. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, written in elegant script. A 5-star suite. Ocean view. Claire tapped her manicured nail on the corner of the page. They shared a room, while Logan told me he was dealing with an audit investigation. I could have punched something. But Claire? She just smiled, sharp, satisfied. Let's destroy them, she said. I didn't need convincing. That night, I returned home to find Amanda on the couch, legs crossed, phone in hand, looking like a bored queen on a throne. She didn't look up. Thought you'd be out crying somewhere, she said flatly. Maybe updating your little lawyer buddy on how heartbroken you are. I didn't answer. She finally looked up. Oh, silent treatment now? Cute. I walked to the coffee table, pulled out a manila envelope, dropped it in front of her. What's this? She asked, frowning. Proof, I said. Every flight, every room, every lie, and Claire's signature. Her face froze. Claire, Logan's wife. She went pale. I leaned closer. She's divorcing him. Already served him this morning. She's also suing him for misappropriation of company funds. Turns out he was using the corporate card for those little trips. Guess who's being audited now? Amanda blinked. No smirk this time. Just tight lips and shallow breaths. And me? I continued. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. I'm keeping the house. You'll be out in 3 weeks. Per the prenup. Which, if you'd ever actually read, clearly states infidelity voids all claims to joint assets. She shot up from the couch. You can't. I cut her off. You played dirty. I played smart. She stood there, stunned, and for the first time since this started, she looked scared. But only for a moment. Then came the venom. You think you're some kind of hero now? She snapped. You're nothing without me. You'll die alone. Everyone does once they lose me. I stared at her like she was a stranger. You're right. Everyone does. That's why they all leave you. And I walked away. That night, she didn't sleep in the house. Took a suitcase and disappeared. But the silence she left behind? That was the first time in years it felt like peace. 3 weeks passed faster than I expected. Amanda didn't fight the move-out date. She just vanished. No dramatic scene, no crying at the door. Just silence. She packed her things one afternoon while I was at work and left behind a half-finished bottle of wine on the counter and a note that said, "You'll regret this." One day, I framed it, hung it in the garage above my tools like a reminder. But I didn't regret a thing. Claire and I kept in touch. We weren't close. This wasn't some rebound fairy tale, but we understood each other in a way no one else could. We're survivors. We'd both been lied to, mocked, cheated on by people who smiled at us every morning. One day she sent me a photo. Logan, standing in court, eyes wide, jaw tight. Her lawyer grilled him while his company's HR rep sat stiffly behind him. The caption read, "This is what business trips look like now." It made me laugh for a full minute. Meanwhile, Amanda tried to stay relevant. I'd hear things through mutual acquaintances. How she was trying to reinvent herself, posting self-help quotes on Instagram while dating a crypto investor who drove a borrowed Porsche. Eventually, even those whispers faded. But she couldn't help herself. Late one night, I got a message request from a burner account. No profile picture, just a single sentence. "Can we talk? Please." I didn't respond. Then a week later, an email. "I made mistakes, but I never stopped loving you. You were just never enough for me back then. Maybe now you are." I read it twice. Not because it hurt, but because it didn't. It felt like reading the end of a book I'd already put down. So I sent one sentence back. "You never loved me. You just loved control." She never replied. My nights got quieter. My mornings clearer. I stopped waking up with tension in my chest. No more checking phones. No more fake smiles over burned coffee. Freedom felt like silence. And silence, I found, wasn't empty. It was healing. I bought a dog. A German shepherd named Max Loyal. Sharp. The exact opposite of Amanda. And for the first time in years, I looked in the mirror and actually liked who was staring back. Not the quiet guy. Not the backup plan. Not the placeholder. Just Jason. Whole again. The divorce finalized on a gray Wednesday morning. No court appearance. No drama. Just a digital signature and a confirmation email. Amanda got nothing. No house. No car. No share of the investments. She tried to challenge the prenup once, apparently. My lawyer sent her attorney a polite reminder. Adultery, in high definition, signed and dated. Along with the voicemail. And the statement from Logan's wife. They never replied again. I stood in the living room that night, barefoot, the silence so thick it felt alive. The same walls that once echoed her laughter now felt honest. For the first time in years, the house was mine, and it finally felt like home. I replaced every photo of us, tore them from the frames. Not out of spite, but because they were lies. Frozen smiles hiding months of disgust. I filled the space with new things. Art I actually liked. A whiskey decanter I never thought I deserved. Little touches that made the place feel like me. Claire messaged one afternoon. Not about Logan, not about court. Just a link. Amanda's new coaching business. She was now branding herself as a relationship recovery mentor. I didn't even laugh. Just sat there for a moment and let the irony soak through me like rain on skin. That was Amanda, always repackaging her mess and selling it back as gold. But her face looked different in those photos. Tired. Tight. That fake glow of someone trying too hard to look healed. She could fool her followers. Not me. And definitely not herself. A few weeks later, I walked into a local bookstore, something I hadn't done in years. and picked up a novel I once loved in college. A woman behind me said, "Good choice." Her name was Sarah. She had soft eyes, no rings, and a voice that didn't make me flinch. We talked for 15 minutes before she said, "You seem calm." It stopped me, because I was not broken, not angry, just calm. I left the store with a number, a book, and a strange sense of hope. Not because I needed someone, but because for the first time, I didn't. Amanda had taken years from me, but she also gave me something in the end, clarity. She taught me exactly what I'd never accept again. The lies, the gaslighting, the cruelty masked as jokes. Never again. And if I ever had a son, I'd teach him that love is not supposed to feel like endurance. It's not supposed to hurt more than it heals. It's not supposed to break you just to keep someone else whole. It took a Thanksgiving ambush, a security video, and months of betrayal to learn it. But now I knew, and I was never going back. Months passed, and Amanda faded like background noise, still technically alive, but no longer relevant. The version of me who once waited on her every whim, who confused submission for love, was buried under the rubble of everything she destroyed. I started living again, not just existing. I took a short trip to Colorado, just me and Max, to breathe air that didn't smell like lies. Hiked trails I never had time for. At the top of a ridge, I just sat, quiet, weightless. That night in a mountain cabin, I thought about everything. The beginning, the betrayal, the fallout. Her smirk as she stole, her shrug when confronted, her venom when I called her out. And finally, her silence. It was all one long scream of who she really was. And I had finally learned to listen. Claire emailed me again. Final update. Logan had taken a plea deal for fraud. Company assets frozen. He was being investigated for tax evasion now. I hope he enjoys his new room, she wrote. It's 8 by 10 and comes with a roommate named Rick. I laughed so hard I had to put the phone down. Claire and I met again, not as co-victims, but as two people who'd climbed out of the same fire and didn't smell like smoke anymore. We didn't talk about Amanda or Logan, just books, dogs, life. It felt normal, not electric, not overwhelming, just safe. And that, after Amanda, was everything. One evening, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. I opened it, and there it was, her handwriting. I wanted to say sorry, but I know it won't matter. I just wish I hadn't ruined everything. I thought I was strong. Turns out, I was just scared. Take care of yourself, Jason. No name. No number. Just that. I folded it once. Burned it in the sink. Watched the flames turn her apology to ash. Forgiveness doesn't always mean contact. It just means you stop carrying someone else's mess. And I was done carrying her. I adopted a second dog a month later. Max loved him instantly. Started volunteering on Saturdays. Built new routines. Every so often, I'd still get asked about Amanda by someone who hadn't heard. She doing okay? They'd ask. I'd smile. Probably. Because I didn't know. And more importantly, didn't care. I wasn't angry anymore. She was a chapter. I was the book. And the next one? I was finally writing it for me. Spring came quietly. No grand finale. No fireworks. Just slow, steady mornings where I didn't wake up wondering who she was texting. No more second-guessing my worth. No more pretending to be okay while drowning in suspicion. One Saturday, I hosted a small cookout. A few friends, Claire included, some neighbors, a simple gathering. Laughter filled the backyard. Max ran circles chasing a tennis ball. Claire stood beside me, sipping lemonade, her smile relaxed. You know, she said, I never imagined peace would look like grilled burgers and folding chairs. I glanced at the people around us, the ordinary joy, the ease. Yeah, I said. It's better than the storm I was living in. She nodded. We didn't just survive them, Jason. We beat them. Later that evening, as everyone left and the sun dipped behind the fence, I sat on the porch with Max curled by my feet and silence all around me, the good kind. And I thought about the man I used to be, the one who tiptoed around Amanda's moods, the one who believed love was endurance, that being ignored or insulted was just part of a rough patch. I thought about Thanksgiving, the accusations, the footage, her smirk. I thought about how she turned love into manipulation and how she laughed when she broke me. But I also thought about how I stood up, how I chose truth over fear, how I left. Not just the marriage, but the version of myself that thought he didn't deserve better. And if anyone ever asked me what I learned from it all, I'd say this. If someone makes you feel small to make themselves feel big, walk away. If they strip your dignity to protect their secrets, run. And if they ever smirk in your face after shattering your trust, don't yell. Don't beg. Just show them the footage, close the chapter, and write a new one without them. Not for revenge, for peace. Because peace is the loudest kind of victory. And I won.